Let's just get this all working, get everything going. It's hard to start this with no viewers, so I'm gonna wait a bit. See, I also wanted to make a showdown showdown tab so I can write down details about Alberto's spreads, because I'm really interested in his sets and team building and, you know, everything of the sort. I think I'm supposed to change my settings slightly, but don't think it's actually going to be that big of a deal. So, you know, we'll give everyone a couple minutes to show up, and then we'll see how it goes. What's up, guys? How's it going? Let's just get this fast forwarded a bit. It's double speed, of course, the thing we need to be using. Hopefully this loads fast enough. Fist bump instead of handshake, not very traditional, but okay. So chat, we're just gonna go on Showdown, figure out what's up, Spurific. How you doing? So we're just gonna write down what the teams are. Gonna look at everything we can, because I don't have much info. Oh no, wait, we have the teams and their natures from Pokemon.com, but we know what these Pokemon are, and I can remember them, and hopefully you can remember them. And if anyone asks in chat, feel free to tell them Alberto's team. Got Gengar, Kartana, Incineroar, Cresselia, Feeny, Landorus, and Yuree has Metagross, Incineroar, Feeny, Amoonguss, Zapdos, Landorus. Cool. So starting from team preview, I expect Alberto to be bringing Gengar. Kartana's really good if you can get rid of Zapdos. So maybe something like Gengar IFK doesn't sound too bad. Feeny doesn't do too much, but it prevents sleep, so maybe Gengar, Incineroar, Kartana, Landorus. Gengar Incineroar tends to be a pretty decent lead. You know, it's positive against a lot of things. I really don't know too much about this matchup, so I'm not sure how Team Preview is supposed to go. If I'm Yuree, I definitely want to be bringing Amoonguss and Incineroar. I know his Landorus is a Jolly Tech Rage variant, so I think I want to bring that. Landorus is pretty good against most of these Pokemon. Maybe something like Metagross, Amoonguss, Zapdos, Incineroar, though. Zapdos is very strong against Alberto's team. You need it to beat Kartana as well. Yeah, maybe Metagross, Amoonguss lead, especially if he's Aqua Berry with Zapdos and something in the back. Okay, so Alberto leads Gengar Cress versus Landorus, Incineroar. Okay. That's not what I was expecting from either player. Oh, your Zapdos doesn't have Heat Wave. Right. Okay, that means he can't bring his Zapdos. That means it's hard for him to bring Zapdos. It doesn't do too much. Okay. Oh, crap. I forgot to change the scene. My bad. Oh, okay. I did a stupid thing. Hold up. It's not Twitch. That's not what I want. Huh. This isn't what I want. Oh, no. We're not team building. I'm trying to do analysis of a stream, but the window capture is confused. Here we go. That's what we're looking at. This is the thing. And then we can full screen. And then we go back to this. We let this finish. Cool. Then we go back to this. Okay. Now everyone knows what's going on. It's analysis. We're doing analysis. Cool. So, Incineroar Landorus versus Gengar Cresselia. Why did Yuree lead this? Why did Alberto lead this? So Yuree needs to bring... So considering that Yuree doesn't have Heat Wave on his Zapdos, he needs to bring Tech Rage Landorus. He needs to bring his Incineroar. Probably needs to bring Metagross. And then you bring Amoonguss, because Amoonguss is super good against Gengar teams. And then the combination of Landorus, of Double Intimidate, and Flare Blitz and Tech Rage is supposed to take out the Kartana. And Metagross, also provides some pressure with Ice Punch and so forth. He led both of the Pokemon that could switch. So Landorus, you probably expect to see something like Landorus switch out into... Landorus U-turns here into Amoonguss, and Incineroar knocks the Cresselia, expecting the Incineroar switching on the Cresselia, but then you're not respecting the Gengar just attacking, so maybe you just knock the Gengar. But yeah, so that's why Yuree leads that. I don't know why Alberto brings Cresselia into this matchup. I don't know what Cresselia does. I literally don't know what the set is, so... Presumably he brought it instead of Feeny for some sort of reason. Maybe it's Psychic Z. To help him beat Amoonguss. So I expect to see Incineroar in the back and probably Kartana. Those are the two that I would bring. But I don't know what this Cresselia is doing, so I can't evaluate the overall game plan. Presumably Alberto has practiced this, and presumably Yuree has practiced something very similar to this. So they know roughly what they should be bringing. Hold on for 1 second. I need to take this call. My apologies. So yeah, I expect to see Incineroar Kartana in the back from Alberto. So that's what I've gathered from Team Preview. So turn 1. Gengar is threatened on Alberto's side, and it wants to kind of just like protect and switch in Incineroar. Incineroar is very positive against this. You're unlikely to see just a flat Earthquake. Yuree doesn't want to switch in Zapdos into a potential Icy Wind and Intimidate. He doesn't want to Tech Rage the Gengar because Protect is so obvious. I feel like what Yuree wants to do here is U-turn Cresselia, but that makes switching in Intimidate and Icy Winding very strong. If Landorus is U-turning the Cresselia. I don't know how much Gengar teams want to protect the Gengar. Because you might see something like a knockoff from Incineroar, but you could just see double U-turn here. But I'd like to see Yuree pressure the Gengar, force Gengar to not just go for a safe Icy Wind. No, because then if Alberto has Landorus and Crest switches into Landorus and Incineroar doesn't U-turn, Incineroar gets KO'd. So you need to be very wary of that. So you U-turn the Crest with Lando, that's for sure, or just hard switch. But I think U-turning the Crest with Lando is relatively safe. Or is it greedy? I think you hard switch out the Landorus here into Amoonguss in the back, and then you U-turn the Cresselia with Incineroar. I think that combines all the elements of safe. No, this analysis is going to take a while. And so if I'm Alberto, I want to switch out Cresselia and probably protect Gengar. I don't want any shenanigans to happen. So, Intimidate. I don't know what this Cresselia is doing in this game, though, because it's so minus against Metagross. Like, the only things it beats are Amoonguss and Landorus, and maybe he needs something that's good against Amoonguss. Okay, so Alberto switches in Landorus here. So potentially trying to trap the Incineroar. Reveals that he doesn't have Incineroar Kartana in the back, which means that if he knows anything about Yuree's team, you almost certainly drop Incineroar because Kartana is so good. So I expect to see Kartana in the back, but we might see an Incineroar. Expect Yuree to be preparing for the Kartana still. Gengar Mega Evolves. We lag. Gengar protects. Yep. Don't want shenanigans to happen. Landorus U-turns. Cresselia. Goes into Amoonguss. Goes into Zapdos. So it's not a Metagross Amoonguss. It is Zapdos. And there's a knockoff from the Landorus. From the Incineroar. Now, the problem with that knockoff is that it looks like a scouting knockoff. That looks like something you do game 1 of not top 8, but maybe this is because this was the first top 8 to be played, so potentially it looks like Yuree just didn't have the chances to scout out Alberto's team. I don't get what that knockoff is supposed to do. I mean, I guess it's supposed to remove the opposing Incineroar's berry on the switch-in. I guess that's fine. Right, because, like, you want to knock the opposing Incineroar's berry, and you don't want to waste your turn attacking into the Gengar's pretty obvious protect there. Gengar doesn't want to move against Incineroar Landorus before you establish some sort of control. But, yeah, it's Z, Lando. Does Yuree not have U-turn? Can someone in the chat tell me if Yuree's Incineroar has U-turn? Because if it does, not sure I like that play. I don't think knocking off the berry is particularly important. I feel like U-turning is far more important. You know, always preserving your switch momentum. Because here, Incineroar dies. It should die. So here, if I'm Alberto, I want to go for very clean, Icy Wind the Zapdos, Tech Rage the Incineroar. I don't think there's any other play. If I'm Yuree, I'd probably go for something like Tailwind and U-turn. But, yes, there's the Icy Wind. This play is just 100% correct. It slows down the Zapdos. You want to start slowing down the Zapdos before Tailwind gets set up. Makes it slower than everything. Tech Rage reveals Landorus is faster than the Zapdos. We have that information for the future. It's faster than Zapdos before the -1. So at -2, it will be faster than Zapdos. So if another Icy Wind goes off, the Landorus will be faster. There's the KO. So Yuree just lost Incineroar for free. So Yuree just traded Incineroar for a knockoff on Alberto's Landorus and the Z move. Terrible trade. Really awful trade. Set turn 1 knockoff. Very, very bad. You need to preserve your switching momentum against Gengar teams. Now, Yuree probably thought, okay, Incineroar or Kartana are in the back. Kartana's not switching in, so I can knock off the Incineroar on the switch in, I'll be safe. Alberto brings the Landorus, gets precisely this trap. So I think that this is just like a bit of overconfidence on his team preview read when he goes for that knockoff, and also to try and scout the Cresselia's item, potentially. So what does Yuree send back in? Landorus is pretty solid. It has Tech Rage. It has just regular Earthquake, but there's also Metagross. So Yuree didn't bring Amoonguss. That's really interesting, because Amoonguss is traditionally very good against Gengar teams. So Yuree must have some specific reason why he didn't do that. Maybe he thought Zapdos was really valuable with Tailwind, even though he doesn't have Heat Wave. Not so sure about that. So here, nice, I paused just before the turn happens. So what do I want to see here? So Yuree has to take advantage of his Tailwind turns. And that means Zapdos has to start attacking. I don't think there's any good reason not to attack with Zapdos. And Metagross has to start attacking. The problem is you have to attack correctly. So Landorus does not want to stay in here. It wants to switch into Cresselia. You want Incineroar to switch in somewhere, and you want Cresselia to switch in somewhere. If you have Kartana and you know Yuree doesn't have Heat Wave, you want Kartana to switch in for sure. Kartana is very strong here. If you know Zapdos doesn't have Heat Wave, it doesn't do too much. Zapdos has Roost. Kartana's not actually that great here. I don't know what Alberto has in the back. But here, something like Protect Gengar, switch Landorus into Cresselia. Protect Gengar, switch Landorus into Incineroar. Double switch Gengar into Incineroar or Kartana. And Landorus into Cresselia. All very reasonable plays. If you're Yuree, you have to be reading them, and you have to know that Incineroar is coming in somewhere. So something I might want to do is Stomping Tantrum the Landorus and Thunderbolt the Gengar. I know that leaves Gengar live, but Gengar is too threatened by the Metagross, and I don't think there's good enough reason to not to focus down Gengar, because I'm like 90% certain Gengar is switching out here. You want to preserve the Icy Wind to just KO the Landorus. Okay, what if Gengar stays in? Gengar stays in, Landorus switches to Incineroar. You take the Stomping Tantrum. The only thing you don't take is the Double Up. Gengar staying in is actually not that bad. I might want to double up on the Gengar here if I'm Yuree. But you have to make a very precise read on what's in the back and what's happening. There's the Landorus switch out. There's the Kartana, not the Incineroar, so Gengar is protecting here. And so if you double the Gengar expecting the read, nice from Yuree. Stomping Tantrums the Metagross, and roars the Gengar, so gets himself out of the trap, but that doesn't do too much. So first things first, Stomping Tantrum, not Mega Evolving from Yuree, very strong. You don't want to Mega Evolve your Metagross when there's a ton of Intimidate in the back, and you want to leave it unmega'd until you know you're dealing appropriate amounts of damage. So not Mega Evolving was fine. He didn't need to do significantly more damage on that turn, and preserving Clear Body is really important. And he doesn't need the speed stat. So the speed stat is another good reason to evolve Metagross. You don't need any of those things that turn, so going for the not full damage Stomping Tantrum is very strong. Because Alberto has Kartana in the back and not Incineroar, you don't want to just attack with Gengar here. Yuree quite rightly ignores the Gengar because a double up on it is just a bit too risky for Alberto to deal with. You could throw away your advantage by playing riskily like that. On the other hand, there was a very, very low chance that a double happened, and I feel like if I was Alberto, I might have wanted to capitalize on it. On the other hand, playing safely, when you're in this type of position, especially because you have so much HP left on your Pokemon, you have so much advantage. There's no way to hit Cresselia. There's no way to hit Kartana. You can't really go wrong with just playing it a bit safe. So Yuree roars, tries to get out of the trap, doesn't get Landorus in, gets Cresselia, which kind of sucks for Yuree because Cresselia just beats Zapdos, right? You can focus down Zapdos, you can start Icy Winding, you can do whatever this Cresselia does. I don't know what it does. So Yuree's play reasonable, expects the Incineroar switch in, but I don't think he got enough advantage off of it to stay in this game. So here, I'm expecting to see something like, okay, so what happens this turn? What happens this turn? Kartana... Yeah, okay. You guys can all see what's going on. I expect to see Metagross largely get ignored. If Cresselia has Icy Wind, I want to see it Icy Wind. If Cresselia has Ice Beam, if Cresselia has Trick Room, I don't necessarily want to see it Trick Room. I want to see Ice Beam or Icy Wind the Zapdos. I want to see Kartana either sub up or Leaf Blade the Zapdos, I think you Leaf Blade Zapdos here, because the only thing that prevents Ice moves from doing damage is Zapdos roosting, and so you start chipping the Zapdos into submission. The Icy Wind chips Metagross enough, just like do tiny bits of damage to Metagross to put into Shadow Ball range, and if you prevent Tailwind, then you should be in a fine position. Yuree has a really hard time switching out here, so he might do something like double into the Kartana. I think that would be reasonably safe. This Mega Evolution is fine. Yuree wants to do the extra bit of damage to Kartana or to Cresselia. Iron Head into the Cresselia once the flinches. Thunderbolt into the Cresselia, into the Kartana once the chip. Sacred Circus into the Metagross. And Icy Wind. So the video quality was garbage there. So we're gonna go back to normal, see if we can see what's going on. So Kartana's at 75 HP from 120. That means the Thunderbolt did 45 damage. So we know it'll activate Berry on the next go through. Yuree puts damage into the Cresselia, hoping to flinch it. I think flinching is correct. Thunderbolt into Kartana makes sense, even though it's already in Tech Rage range, because Landorus will be intimidated, so you want to put damage into the Kartana, but this game's just so hard for Yuree to win. Icy Wind goes off. Zapdos is slow. Now Zapdos is slower. Yeah, so Alberto didn't Leaf Blade the Zapdos. I feel like that's fine, because he doesn't have Ice Beam. I feel like you only Leaf Blade if you're going to go for Ice Beam. You Leaf Blade to increase your amount of damage significantly. Icy Wind means Zapdos doesn't really feel like it needs to roost, so it doesn't matter, just get it slower. You're not trying to do damage to Zapdos, you're trying to make Zapdos slow. Icy Wind the Metagross, and if Kartana hits the Metagross takes more damage, so that's just fine. I think both of these plays are reasonable. I kind of want to Leaf Blade the Landorus switch in, but Landorus isn't switching in. Now I want to Leaf Blade the Zapdos to deal with the roost. So this is the last turn of Tailwind. Metagross is still fast. Zapdos is slow now. I might want to detect Kartana, because I don't know how much damage. So Metagross Iron... I feel like Metagross Ice Punch might just fail to activate the berry. No, so what happened was it did 45 damage. Yeah, so 45. Alberto's Kartana looks like it has 158 or 159 HP, which means that it has 41... 42, no. The berry activates at 39. So, there is range for a double up to KO Kartana here, potentially an Iron Head chipping it down 30 HP, and then Thunderbolt or Stomping Tantrum chipping down 30, went from 120. So Stomping Tantrum might do a bit too much, but Iron Head might do just enough. 38, 19, 28. Yeah, so I think Iron Head Thunderbolt does just enough to KO Kartana. So I would want to Icy Wind the Zapdos Metagross. I would want to Icy Wind Detect here if I'm Alberto. I don't think you get too much from letting your Kartana potentially get knocked out. And I want Icy Wind with Cresselia. If I'm Yuree, I want to try and maybe make this double up on Kartana. I think that's my best way to win the game, because I want to KO it through Berry. You can tell it's a Berry Kartana by the HP, by the bulk that it has. So Yuree doesn't want to do this. I don't get this play. This doesn't make any sense to me. What's he looking for? He's looking for an Iron Head flinch or an Icy Wind miss into a Tectonic Rage. But he's Stomping Tantrums, the Cresselia, to double his power. Alberto subs, which is fine, because he wants to activate his own berry so he can't get doubled up. That's very smart. Well, no, I still like Detect. I think Detect would have been better. Cresselia Moonlights. So this game's turbo over. So let's speed this up a tiny bit. It's 1.5. There's nothing left in this game. You just Icy Wind, Leaf Blade. There's nothing remaining here. There's no way for Alberto to lose. Just Icy Wind, Leaf Blade the Landorus. You can't do anything about it. Okay, sure. Landorus U-turns. Congrats. Yuree sends out Metagross. Kartana Leaf Blades. The Metagross. Yep, that's a crit. It's not a crit. Kartana's just decent. Icy Wind. Yeah, look, like, that's a crit. Reveal your Citrus Berry. I really don't think there's any outs. You just Moonlight here. Sacred Sword the Metagross. Just make sure your Cresselia is at full HP. Don't let yourself get flinched into Oblivion. So in order to make yourself not get flinched into Oblivion, you target down the Metagross with your Kartana. Zapdos can roar out the Kartana, but that doesn't do anything. Okay, Yuree Leaf Blades. Crits. Don't know why he Leaf Blades the Zapdos there. Okay, why is he Leaf Blade the Zapdos there? I guess because Zapdos is the only threat left, but that doesn't make too much sense to me. Because you can just make the Zapdos slow and then kind of like Rock Slide on it. Like, Zapdos can't threaten the Cresselia. So what I would have liked to see there is Alberto focus down the Metagross, because Metagross is the one thing that can, you know, actually hit the Cresselia. And I would have liked to see Moonlight just for, you know, extra healing purposes. I'd like Cresselia to be at full HP. I know he's buried, but you just get more out of your Cresselia. Nothing can kill it at this point if you stay at full health. So prevent the flinches, stay at full health. Icy Wind worked, Leaf Blade crit, and so, you know, now Zapdos has a lot less HP and stuff, but I don't know, I don't want, like, look, Cresselia can get crit out now, and that's just bad. Like, if Cresselia had gone for Moonlight last turn, there would be no question of whether or not it takes. So let's check and see if Cresselia, it's at 74 now. Okay, sorry about this, it's lagging. It is a big video. We'll just slow down the speed right here so we can see what HP the Cresselia starts at. Sorry about this. Don't know, it's really hard with such a big video to make things happen. Metagross used Iron Head. We'll slow this down even further. 153. Cool. So it goes from 153 down to 74, which means it takes 79 points of damage. So now Cresselia is in Iron Head range. So that's why I really don't like that play last turn from Alberto. If Alberto just goes for something like Moonlight, he showed that his Cresselia is already faster. Cresselia is faster than the Metagross at -1. That's just gotten revealed, but he knows Cresselia is really fast. It might be faster than Yuree's Metagross. It's definitely faster than the Zapdos. So if you go for Moonlight there, you go back to full HP. Maybe you take 79 points of damage, but you're still in a good position to take the damage again, because Metagross will have to attack first before the Zapdos. So I think that going for Moonlight there instead of Icy Wind is just a lot better, even if Icy Wind puts them both at -2. How's it going?
Well, we're going to get Mexican tomorrow night when you're not streaming, and we'll just make food happen here so that you don't.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So now Cresselia is in range to get knocked out, so there's a potential for Yuree to call a Landorus switch, because if you're Alberto, you want to switch either Cresselia or Kartana into Landorus and Moonlight with your Cresselia. So I think this is just kind of, that last turn was just kind of lazy playing from Alberto, hoping his Cresselia would take all the damage. If you're Yuree here, I think you just predict where the Landorus is coming in, you Ice Punch something. I'm not sure it really matters which. I would prefer to Ice Punch the Cresselia because I expect it to come in on the Cresselia slot. But Yuree makes a smart play. Ironhead's a Cresselia. Okay, why is he Ironhead there? He thinks that Alberto thinks he's so far ahead that he doesn't want to even bother switching in his Landorus, doesn't want to risk getting Ice Punched, and Ironhead takes the knockout here. Maybe Alberto thinks it's a damage roll, wasn't checking the damage, so Yuree just goes for the Ironhead there. I think this all could have been avoided if Alberto went for the Moonlight last turn instead of the Icy Wind. Icy Wind got roughly no momentum. Moonlight would have prevented this whole situation, and Cresselia would not be getting knocked out right now. I think not switching in Landorus was very safe. I don't like this Leaf Blade. Like, Zapdos isn't really a threat to your Landorus. It can't touch it. It's revealed Roar. It's revealed Roost. It's revealed Thunderbolt. It's revealed Tailwind. Well, it hadn't revealed Roost, but it was clearly Roost. Maybe not clearly. Maybe he just didn't know it was Roost. Still, I think you definitely focus down Metagross. Again, Metagross is the only thing that can really touch your Landorus. There's no way Yuree is HP Ice at the end of this, so if he's not Roost, then all well and good, your Landorus already beats the Zapdos. And if he is HP Ice, then if he's like Heat Wave or something, you already win. If he's not Heat Wave, then, well, it's not a big deal anyway, because if he is Heat Wave, you win because he can't heal, and if he's not Heat Wave, you win because he can't touch your Landorus. So, don't focus down the Zapdos, focus down the Metagross. Metagross is the only threat. And preserve your Cresselia earlier, because because Yuree can't touch it unless you let him, and you only let him by putting your Cresselia at lower HP. So Sacred Sword definitely should have gone to the Metagross slot that turn. Here I want to see Landorus protect Kartana, Sacred Sword, the Metagross. Kartana could Leaf Blade the Metagross, but I want to see it Sacred Sword. This switch, I don't like. This switch is very weak to a read or a double up. And I don't think it gets Alberto enough momentum to be valuable. Yuree switches out the Zapdos into the Landorus. I don't know what this is doing. And he gets a freeze with Ice Punch. Why is there a switch there? Yuree wants to reset his speed on Zapdos so he can be faster in Tailwind. Yuree wants to preserve the Zapdos for later to beat the Gengar. Yuree wants to... I don't know. Because the Ice Punch is weird because Landorus never attacks there, right? I think if at this point, if you're Yuree, you're in such a losing position that you need to be making very aggressive plays to win this game. I don't think you can just win this game by letting Alberto, do whatever he wants. I would have lost this game by going for the Ice Punch from Yuree's position, by going for the Ice Punch a couple last turn, and, predicting the Landorus switch in. But, This Landorus switch in from Yuree is very strange. I think you either need to double the Landorus slot with Ice Punch Thunderbolt or Stomping Tantrum Thunderbolt, or double the Kartana slot with Ice Punch Thunderbolt or Stomping Tantrum Thunderbolt. I don't think there's a good enough reason to switch in Landorus here that actually does anything. I'd much rather catch Gengar on this. I'd much rather catch Gengar not in the last turn of Tailwind, but on the switch in, because the Landorus isn't attacking there. You need to play aggressively to win this. I don't know. I'm not really feeling this from Yuree. Now, Alberto's Gengar's frozen, so you let your Gengar be frozen. He goes for the Protect because why not? Landorus, Earthquakes, Protect from Metagross. I don't like this play from Yuree. I don't think... Oh, no. He can't switch out Metagross. Yep. That's just correct. I would have wanted to switch into Zapdos, but you can't because of Shadow Tag. No big deal. Leaf Blade goes into Landorus. That's fine. You have crit chances. You have all sorts of good reasons to go for damage into the Landorus, especially because Metagross is almost certainly protecting. Landorus is the last real threat, so trying to hit it is very reasonable. This is a tough position because Yuree has Tech Rage. Does Yuree win this game? If Yuree wins this game, I'm going to be pissed. The freeze matters, but Alberto put himself in a position to lose to the freeze by not healing with his Cresselia. Oh, what do you do here? Because Yuree wants to Tech Rage here, but I don't know if Tech Rage KOs. Because it's -1. So you Tech Rage and hope it KOs. Like, hope you crit or something. No. At that point, you might as well Rock Slide. And... So, if you're Alberto, you know your Kartana is fine. So you go for Rock Slide, Leaf Blade into Metagross. You Rock Slide, Sacred Sword. I'm not sure if Leaf Blade will KO. So I think you Rock Slide, Sacred Sword. The extra damage to the Leaf Blade does to Zapdos doesn't matter too much. But the extra damage Sacred Sword does to Metagross might matter a lot. So you Rock Slide, Sacred Sword. Your Kartana will probably tank whatever Yuree's Landorus can throw at it, except for Scarf Earth Power. And if you Sacred Sword the Metagross, you ensure that it gets knocked out. You Rock Slide the Landorus to hit the Landorus, and you Rock Slide the Zapdos switch in as well. There's the switch out. This is fine. This is a good switch out. Landorus just regular Earthquakes. I don't like this. I feel like you need flinches now to win. Yep, there's the Rock Slide. Kartana subs. Very, very risky. Very risky. Does it win him the game? You can only do this on a very hard read, and I don't think... Did you need to? Did you need to? Well, it wins, right? But you can only you do this on the read of Rock Slide, switch out the Metagross, and I guess like you can make that read, because you're not as far ahead as you used to be, because you threw. So yeah, maybe Yuree should have gone for the Tectonic Rage there. Tectonic Rage prevents precisely this play, and you don't need to KO the Kartana. You just need to make sure your Metagross can safely focus the Landorus. If you Tech Rage and he Leaf Blades, then you have to win a 50-50. Okay, so if you Tech Rage and Kartana Leaf Blades, and Alberto goes Rock Slide, Leaf Blade, Landorus, then you have to win a 50-50 on whether Landorus protects or it doesn't. But it's a 50-50. That's not in your favor. So if you go for the Tech Rage play and Alberto Leaf Blades, then it's 50-50. If you go for the Tech Rage and Alberto subs, you win. If you go for the Tech Rage, Alberto Sacred Swords, Metagross Sacred Sword knocks out the Zapdos, you win. What does not Tech Raging beat? I think you either Rock Slide there for flinches, because if you get flinch on either of them, you're in a really good position, because your Landorus will stay alive. You get in Zapdos, your Zapdos will be in for a bit freer. But if you don't want to go for flinches, I think you Tech Rage the Kartana there. Even though Tech Rage doesn't KO, it means Kartana can't go for this play, and then also any other attack will knock it out afterwards. Just like, I don't think Kartana ever protects there. So blow the damage while you can. Especially because you're only Earthquaking into Kartana. And, I mean, I guess, like, it's a case of backwards bias, but, like, I think you can just do it. You know, I don't think it goes wrong. What do you do here? Forfeit. Earthquake, Thunderbolt the Kartana. Try and knock out its sub and then Thunderbolt it. I think that's the only play left. So Alberto should detect Kartana and just Rock Slide. Nothing wrong with that. You can also attack with Kartana, but... Oh no, you Leaf Blade the Zapdos here. Because Kartana's faster than Zapdos, so you just Rock Slide, you Rock Slide Leaf Blade the Zapdos, and you make it disappear. Leaf Blade should KO Zapdos from this range. Yep, there's the Rock Slide. I don't get what Yuree's doing. If nothing else, you should like Rock Slide for flinches. I don't know what play he could be hoping for from Alberto there. Okay, let's check the chat. All it says is welcome to the chat room. Thanks, you guys all, for coming out. And I appreciate all of you who follow me, you know, who support me making content, stuff like that. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys think my opinion matters at all. Cool. So Kartana gets a Beast Boost. Game 1's over. Cool. So, I'll try and do my analysis for how we look at Game 2 really quick. So Alberto showed in this Game 1 that he's likes the Landorus Therian trap. That, you know, you can expect him to, yeah, Yuree forfeits. This game was... So the big keys here is that Alberto didn't respect the follow-up onto Cresselia. How, in order to make your Cresselia valuable, you need to not be able to be KO'd through Berry. That's part of why Super Citrus Berry on Cresselia sucks, because you can just get KO'd through it easy. And then when he was in range to get KO'd through it, he didn't know his damage rolls, he didn't know that he had to bring in the Intimidator, he was too scared to do so, he let his Cresselia go down, and then his Gengar got frozen on the switch-in, which made this game very tricky. I think that what he should have done, I don't think there was a good enough reason to switch in Landorus on the turn he switched in Landorus, and if he does switch in Landorus, he should be protecting. I think he should have switched in Gengar and just protected Gengar. It was the last turn of Tailwind, there's no good reason not to. And then Yuree didn't double the Landorus for some reason, so Yuree could have focused down on that slot a bit more aggressively and just made it go away. But didn't. Then Yuree didn't Tech Rage the Kartana for no good reason. He didn't go for flinches or for the Tech Rage. The Earthquake there only covers for a Protect, and it's only covers for a Protect. It covers for Protect or Attack, but it doesn't cover for Sub. But Tech Rage is just better in almost every circumstance there. So I think Tech Rage definitely should have been the play. It prevents all potential possibilities of sub. You can then U-turn the Kartana. There's so many things you can do besides Earthquake after that. And then your Metagross comes in. And so I think this was, overall, like, not a really well-played Game 1. I think there was a lot more to be doing. I didn't open it, though. Let's see what we can do for Game 2. So for Game 2, right. So, Game 2. Alberto really likes liked the Landorus trap. Cresselia seemed really terrifying once Incineroar was gone. Um, so you, so I kind of want to see Alberto do. So the first thing Yuree's supposed to do is he's not supposed to leave Incineroar in, but it's really hard to keep all your Pokemon safe from the Gengar trap. The thing about Gengar teams is that they tend to be pretty good at going up 4-3, and then not that great after that. So like you can oftentimes trap something in and then take one knockout, but then Gengar suffers from the problem that it has no bulk, and then you lose the trap, and then you're just kind of like playing an awkward mid game. Admittedly, with a bunch of other good Pokemon. It should have been very clean, but Alberto threw. So. But Yuree didn't have many switching options. So this game, I'd like to see maybe the Amoonguss show up. Alberto might be Calm Mind, Chris. Oh, yeah. No, I should check. Sup, Atsuya? How you doing? Let's check this. Let's check their teams. I want to see what Alberto's Cresselia set is, and we'll just, let this run for a bit while they're going into game 2. From Yuree, I want to see Amoonguss. From Alberto, I'd like to see Incineroar. But mostly for Alberto, yeah, I'd like to see Incineroar, but that'd be instead of Landorus. And I think bringing Landorus is fine if you're bringing the double Icy Wind. They don't have Alberto's team on the thing. I can't figure out what Alberto had because his team's not there. So yeah, Yuree makes his decision quickly again. Alberto makes his decision pretty quickly. So I'd like to see what the mix-up is. Gengar Incineroar lead doesn't sound too bad. Gengar Landorus lead would be fine. But yeah, there we go. There's the Amoonguss. There's the Amoonguss Metagross lead that we see so often from these Metagross teams. Alberto goes Feeny, recognizing that Amoonguss is likely to come. Very smart play. Very smart play. Good read. I don't think there was a very solid reason to make that read, and it's just good. Here I want to see Alberto try and bait out the Mega Evolution from the Metagross, but I'd also like to see Feeny go for something like a Muddy Water or a Calm Mind. I think that would be just generally pretty good. From Yuree, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I'd like to see, I'd like to see him hard read Iron Head the Feeny and Rage and Sludge Bomb the Feeny, but like I'm not sure if that's a reasonable ask. Yeah, you just see the Protect in the Sludge Bomb. Okay, so Alberto double protects, tries to bait out the Protect. It's fine. Sludge Bomb Amoonguss, not Clear Smog. That's also pretty good for Yuree in this position. Alberto didn't bait out the Mega. Didn't bait out an attack. Didn't bait out the Mega. Just got the Protect. I kind of would have liked to see an attack there from Alberto, because Metagross never attacks there. You can do something like Shadow Ball Muddy Water, Shadow Ball the Metagross and Muddy Water. Protecting the Feeny prevented the Sludge Bomb. But, I don't know. I think what Alberto did was fine. Very reasonable. Here, Gengar needs to switch out into something. Gengar needs to switch out, but you can't switch out into Incineroar because you don't get the Intimidate off. So you switch out into Cresselia and on the Gengar slot and Incineroar on the Feeny slot, except he doesn't. So that must mean he's going for a Shadow Ball into the Metagross and a Muddy Water. But Amoonguss just Rage Powders this. I don't understand. Okay, Icy Wind, because that does good damage to the Amoonguss and slows down the Metagross. Fine. Read, but like whatever. Amoonguss always Rage Powders there 100% of the time. Yeah, Metagross tantrums the Gengar. You always tantrum Gengar here. Oh, and Gengar just takes. Okay, that's insane. That's just insane. Okay, I didn't know Gengar would take. That's wild. And Yuree's Metagross looks to be adamant, so that's just a ton of bulk. Oh no, it's Jolly. My bad. Must be a really fast Cresselia. It must be like 120 speed Cresselia or something then. Or just a faster Cresselia. So here, what do? You need to manage your damage properly. Here, I think you Shadow Ball into the Metagross and Calm Mind. I think there's a decent chance Yuree goes for the double up into the Tapu Fini because the Gengar is so at risk. I think you can risk Yuree dropping one of his attacks into the Gengar because he loses so much momentum if Alberto just like gets a if he Iron Heads a Fini, Alberto gets Calm Mind up at above 50%, and then proceeds to wipe out the Amoonguss and Metagross. I feel like you can get a bit greedy here if you're Alberto, pretty safely. And if you're Yuree, I would like to double the Fini because the Gengar Protect is obvious. And I think you need to make some sort of read here. The Gengar switches out instead into Landorus. That's fine, I guess. Protects the Fini. Yuree's Metagross protects, scared of the Shadow Ball. Alberto's Fini Calm Minds, good. Then this is a play where Amoonguss Sludge Bombs the Gengar, I think. Okay, so Yuree thought what I thought. And that's a good play. I really like that from Yuree. Sludge Bomb into the Gengar prevents precisely the play I was talking about. Which is kind of like the like third... Yuree's play is like the third level play. The first level play is you Protect Metagross, Sludge Bomb Fini because you want to do the extra damage like you did on turn 1. The second level play is to double the Fini. The third level play is to protect the Metagross. I'm not sure levels actually make sense as terminology here, but I really like that play. I would have gotten super hard punish for it. And he's like, okay, Alberto has a chance to be a bit greedy. Now's a good time to make a read. Alberto does not get greedy at all. Puts the Intimidate out, wants to keep his Fini at full health. He lets Yuree out of the trap, but that's fine, because he can U-turn back into the trap, keep up Misty Terrain, he has a Calm Mind up, so this is going really well for Alberto. I think that play was really strong. It was very hard to punish that unless Yuree went for Ice Punch into Landorus, so I think that's actually very good. Very, very good play. Here you should just Calm Mind U-turn the... here you should just Muddy Water U-turn the Amoonguss. Yuree can only punish that with a very hard Ice Punch Protect. And so Alberto decides that he's not greedy, so he doesn't go for U-turn. The lack of a hard switch is solid. The hard switch is solid as opposed to the U-turn. I think he could have gotten away with U-turn, but he didn't need to go for it. Okay, misses the Muddy Water. Yuree Spores. I don't like that Spore there. I don't think that ever does anything. The only play that beats is Protect Earthquake, but Alberto wants to keep Landorus in the back. So he's never Earthquaking there. If anything, he might U-turn the Metagross. Oh yeah, you U-turn the Metagross, not the Amoonguss, because Metagross just protected last turn. Just get extra chip damage. Yeah, you don't go for a double protect this early in the game from Yuree. I feel like it's just very bad to do so. But here, you can just sub Calm Mind, I think. Sub Muddy Water, maybe. Get your Kartana behind a sub. That's the only thing that really matters here. I want to keep Fini in because it has the boost, even though I want to switch it out because you could switch Fini into Landorus here. I would not mind that. Sub and Fini goes into Lando. That beats a lot of plays, so Yuree might want to do something like switch in Incineroar here. Beats the Incineroar switch in. Yuree might want to do something like, Sludge Bomb Thunderbolt Fini, beats that. I kind of like Kartana sub and Fini goes into Landorus to preserve terrain. But Alberto just decides to Leaf Blade the Amoonguss, wants to put the pressure on. The crit doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt Alberto's chances, and just goes for Muddy Water. I feel like it would have been nicer to have a sub up here and to have your Landorus in. Because, look, Amoonguss's Berry activates. Yeah, and Sludge Bomb goes into the Feeny, Yuree misses, but, like, Alberto, didn't get much damage off, just kind of activated Amoonguss's Berry, and now Terrain's not up, and Yuree can very safely spore the Feeny slot. I feel like Feeny into Landorus there, very strong, and you just sub up, your Kartana's behind a sub, Yuree can't touch it, you can't get intimidated, and then you're just free to, start U-turn. I guess Yuree can read the U-turn, but you can, like, start making plays around that, as opposed to just put, kind of worthless damage into the Zapdos and the Amoonguss. Okay, here. And here, there's no play to be had, like, if Sludge Bomb had gone off, Feeny would be in Thunderbolt range, and so, Yuree would be in a really solid position, but Alberto gets the accuracy drop and then dodges the Sludge Bomb, so he got pretty lucky off of that turn to get the results he wanted. The only thing you risk by switching in Landorus is the poison on Landorus, which is like a non-minimal chance, but much better than the potential KOing of all these Pokemon. Okay, so he switches Kartana into Gengar. I don't understand where this is going. I am very confused. Feeny Muddy Waters. Hits. Activates Citrus Berry. What? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you? Does he not have Spore? He does. So I don't know what that play was about. Maybe it's to put Feeny in range for... He got the poison, so he can't put it to sleep. He was trying to catch the Gengar switching on the Feeny slot. Just put it to sleep. He activated the berry anyway. Like, I just don't understand that. Tailwind was fine. The switch into Gengar I also don't understand. Like, I can't figure out what Alberto was trying to catch. Maybe Kartana has it sub-KO'd by Zapdos' Thunderbolt. But just sub anyway. Make the Zapdos start Thunderbolting the Kartana. Kartana doesn't care. You're not doing much with Kartana anyway. But like, it being behind a sub is so valuable because then it can't be really focused down later. And now you just... What do you do here? You Thunderbolt the Feeny, Spore the Gengar slot, I guess. Okay, Kartana switch is fine. But yeah, look, this Feeny switch should have happened a long time ago. Feeny was supposed to get back out, put the terrain up, and now you have just a lot of damage going into your team for no reason. Thunderbolt goes into Gengar, that's fine. Sludge Bomb goes into Kartana, that's fair. I feel like switching the targets is reasonable, but I have no particular attachment. I think, Yuree's targeting was fine there. Kartana switching is acceptable, but like, I just don't understand what Alberto's plan is. I'm very confused. Okay, so Gengar switches out here. Yeah, so Gengar's supposed to switch out because you want to... hold on. I clicked too aggressively. So yeah, switching out into Landorus is fine. You want to preserve your Gengar. It's good. Thunderbolt doesn't kill Landorus. Yeah, and so the Thunderbolt was always going to go into Landorus because it doesn't do anything to the Kartana. The Spore goes into the Landorus as well. That's very strong, so you make sure that whatever comes in on that slide either dies or is asleep. Strong play from Yuree. Pretty much unpunishable. Now you want Amoonguss out, so Amoonguss goes into Metagross and you Thunderbolt the Kartana. That's your play pretty much 100% of the time. You could also Roost with Zapdos, but I think that's too unaggressive. The reason you might Roost with Zapdos is because Landorus can go... Okay, so we went to Landorus instead of Metagross. This prevents Alberto from just switching into Gengar on the Metagross switch and having his Gengar in, which would be very scary. He doesn't Sacred Sword goes into the Metagross switch in, but it's a Landorus. Here you just Earthquake Tailwind. That should be fine. I don't think anything can go wrong if you do that. You don't want to Z right now because that might activate Kartana's Berry. You were supposed to Z last game because Kartana didn't have a Berry, but this time you just... What? No! So he Z's because he wants to catch all the damage, but I don't think there's a good enough reason to. Maybe he wants to Z into the Protect. Maybe that was the point. It did 37 damage. So it would have KO'd. It would have KO'd. Okay, then the Z is fine. Yuree presumably knows his damage calcs better. Alberto doesn't have U-turn, so he has Swords Dance. So that explains why he wasn't U-turning all the turns I said he should U-turn. First turn wake really sucks for Yuree. Here, you might want to just double the Kartana slot with Earthquake Thunderbolt. That's what I would probably do, and hope it KOs. You could also go for something like U-turn Thunderbolt, which I think might be a bit safer, because I think Earthquake would activate the Berry. So I would like to see a U-turn Thunderbolt into the Kartana slot, actually. That's what I would go for. You notice Alberto is going to be running low on time after this turn, because he is making no moves. Yeah, there's the U-turn. Good. Doesn't activate the Berry, but doesn't put it in range of the Thunderbolt. The Thunderbolt's going to do 45. It might do 49, maybe. Doesn't matter, because Kartana just dodges. Because the accuracy drops. This has not been a very smart play from Yuree there. I like the double. I don't think Alberto had any choice but to attack the way he did. Here, if you're Yuree, I think you want to start making time-based plays. I think winning on time is your best chance. So I think you probably go for something like... Okay, I need to pause this and think about what you're supposed to do. This turn actually takes some time. So, Detect Earthquake is scary. The question is if Alberto's forced to go for plays that he doesn't want to. Is Alberto forced to go for something like Detect Earthquake? If he is, then you have to Ice Punch. I think Detect Earthquake as a play is open to him. It covers the Roost Ice Punch, the Roost on Zapdos Ice Punch the Kartana play. No. So if you get rid of Landorus, you win. If you get rid of Metagross, if Alberto gets rid of Metagross, he wins. So I think Yuree just goes for Ice Punch Thunderbolt. I think that's just very reasonable. Yep. There's the Detect. Metagross Ice Punches. Good. Zapdos Roosts. I'm not sure I like the Roost, but I think it's fine. I like that Roost. That's a good Roost. I would have liked to see the Thunderbolt, but I think the Roost is fine. Here I want to see attacks go into slots. I'm not sure which slots they go into. I might still be trying to time out Alberto. Alberto's going to have a really tough time KOing Amoonguss, so maybe something like Roost on Zapdos and Stomping Tantrum the Gengar is what I go for. Alberto has to make his plays very quickly here to stay in the game. You don't Stomping Tantrum the Gengar, you Iron Head it. Yuree seems to be very angry about this, so something went wrong. No, he's just thinking. Metagross Iron Headed the Gengar. Zapdos Roosted. Nice. So Yuree is playing a timer game now. I think that's very smart. It's his best chance to win this game, even if he has good chances to win the game, on its own merits. I think his absolute best chance to win the game is by timer. So here you just Tailwind and Iron Head and Stomping Tantrum the Gengar. Tailwind lets Landorus win the game, so you let Landorus win the game. Yaren hits a Feeny. Sure. Not particularly attached to killing the Gengar. Iron hitting the Feeny is fine. It's whatever, there's no big deal. Oh, the timer win con's so gorgeous here. Yeah, game's over. He attacks the Gengar. I think he could have protected. Very well won game from Yuree. Yuree deserved the win. What happened in this game that didn't happen in the last game? Cresselia was really good from Alberto. So the key turn was the turn when Alberto doesn't switch in Landorus on the Feeny slot, just goes for the Muddy Water. I think it's very gross to do that. I think that you want your Landorus in, you want to prevent Intimidate. He also doesn't substitute with his Kartana on the same turn. So if he subs with his Kartana, then his Kartana's behind a sub, then it's just kind of chilling. But instead he has Kartana just kind of freeballing it. I'd much rather have Kartana stuck in against Yuree's team than pretty much anything else. So I think that was the really big turn. After that, Alberto, tried to claw his way back, but didn't really have a chance to do much. Amoonguss just put on a ton of pressure and let Yuree get up Tailwind, and then there was a Landorus, and then Tailwind got back up, and Metagross was just kind of chilling. So I think that's the really critical turn, after which, he could have won, but Yuree just kind of played the game, very safe from then on out. So what happens in Game 3? So the problem was that Feeny sucked. Feeny did Jack and died because Alberto didn't, preserve the Misty Terrain. He thought it would do well enough, but it didn't. So he needs to bring in Incineroar. Incineroar needs to come this game. I think that's just definitely... and also Incineroar and or Cresselia. I think Cresselia is really good against Yuree's team. I like what happened in Game 1. Yuree won't let his Incineroar get KO'd so easily, but Cresselia was just going to do a bunch. But no, Alberto goes Feeny. Again, interesting. Yuree goes Metagross Amoonguss. Again, fine. Amoonguss was really good last game, even when Alberto brought Feeny. Okay, so what went wrong? So turn 1, Alberto didn't push as much damage as he could have. I don't know why he didn't attack with Gengar. If he takes the Stomping Tantrum, then he knows that Yuree's not going to double up on him. So I feel like on turn 1, Alberto definitely should have attacked in Game 2. He could have attacked Amoonguss, predicting a Protect, or he could have attacked Metagross, which would have led to the same outcome, but then he could have protected on turn 2. So here, I'd like to see... I'd like to see Yuree protect Metagross and Sludge Bomb the Gengar. That's what I would like to see. I'm not sure that'll necessarily do much, but I think Alberto might get a bit greedy this time, and you want to put the chip into the Gengar earlier. There's the Mega. Gengar protects, that's fine. Yep, Yuree protects the Metagross. Feeny calm-minded, so Yuree... And Yuree's angry about this, so Yuree did put the damage into Gengar this time. No, he put it into Feeny. Okay. Yeah, so this was... I feel like Alberto could have just attacked Game 2, like, made both of these attacks. Shadow Ball the Metagross and Calm Mind. The Calm Mind here is fine, but, like, very aggressive. I'm not sure I could have made that play. It says the Metagross is definitely protecting, but if you're saying the Metagross is definitely protecting, and if it's not protecting, it's attacking Gengar, is what the play says. And I think that that's reasonable. That's very reasonable. Okay, this turn. I think you can... I think you could switch out Gengar here. So if I'm... No, Yuree can't. So Shadow Ball forces... I think I want to see you Shadow Ball the Metagross if you're Alberto. I want to see you Shadow Ball the Metagross and Muddy Water. Because Shadow Ball forces Yuree to Rage Powder. And Yuree already saw that like, Rage Powder prevents him from knocking out the Gengar. So I think you Shadow Ball the Metagross. And I think Yuree has to go for something like Rage Powder Stomping Tantrum. It would be funny to see Alberto switch in Landorus. But yeah, so there's a Shadow Ball. And I don't think... And so Yuree's like, oh, I'll double, but I'm predicting Icy Wind, but that's just stupid. Because the Icy Wind only happens because the Rage Powder is supposed to be there. The Shadow Ball does about as much damage as the Icy Wind, and the Feeney's already at +1, so you don't really care. So maybe you care more about the Icy Wind damage. I would have preferred the Feeney to be at +1 in Game 2. But the Shadow Ball into Metagross is just correct. You just say, you have to Rage Powder me, and if you don't Rage Powder me, I'm taking this trade. And if you do Rage Powder me, I'm putting way more damage into your board than you do into mine effectively because Gengar outspeeds your whole team. There's the double. Doesn't even KO. So this time Yuree got the low damage roll. It did 10 damage, so Sludge Bomb would have KO'd in Game 1, but this time Yuree low damage rolls his Stomping Tantrum. That's really bad. It did 12 damage. But yeah, low rolling that Stomping Tantrum, real bad. Now Gengar's free to just, switch. Do whatever it wants. Switch into Kartana. Kartana's in a great position here, so I'm expecting something like switch into Kartana Muddy Water, switch into Kartana Moonblast, switch into Kartana Protect, switch into Kartana, switch into Landorus is something else that I'd be fine seeing. No, I don't like that, because then Spore is live. Switch into Kartana Muddy Water. I think Thunderbolt activates Berry. Switch into Kartana Protect. Switch into Kartana Protect is what I'd like to see, I think. No. Switch into Kartana, switch in Landorus. That's what I'd like to see. But Feeney attacking is fine. So Gengar just Icy Winds here, predicting a Tailwind. Knowing that Amoonguss Sludge Bomb doesn't KO it. I think that's fine. I would have liked the Kartana switch in. But he just reads the Tailwind aggressively. And ooh, Calm Mind with Feeney is better than the options I was suggesting. I think Kartana switch in would have been fine. But Alberto recognizes if I get this Icy Wind off, it doesn't really matter. Because I can go Tech Rage into the Amoonguss Moonblast the Zapdos. Tech Rage into the Amoonguss Muddy Water. That +2 Muddy Water catches the Landorus on the switch in, so Amoonguss has to take the Tech Rage. So you can just push a bunch more damage into Yuree's board. Or you could just go for Rock Slide or something like that. I think the Icy Wind is fine, if aggressive. It's okay. Could you close the door, please? So here, this game is over. Again, Gengar switch into Kartana is fine. There's no Kartana in the back, that's an Incineroar. Incineroar switch in is also fine. It's probably a Kartana in the back. Feeney protects. If you switch in Incineroar, Feeney Protect is safe. The Thunderbolt goes into the Incineroar, you don't really care about that. Sludge Bomb goes into Feeney, yep. Here you fake out the Zapdos and Muddy Water, I think. Shrug. Doesn't really matter. Game's pretty over. Faking out the Zapdos Muddy Water is, I think, the best play. You can fake out Zapdos and Calm Mind again. I wouldn't mind that. So Yuree says, you're missing Muddy Water. Very reasonable. Doesn't want his Amoonguss to get Flare Blitzed either. Fake out. Moonblast. Not sure the Moonblast was necessary. Alberto thought it would KO. Guess he's an offensive Feeney. It's not. Does not KO. So, turns out to be a greedy play. Alberto's in a bad position now. So Yuree should go for Roost. So Yuree should probably Roost here because Feeney's probably protecting. And then I want to see him Rock Slide for chip damage. I think the Feeny needs to flinch to win this game. I don't think Thunderbolt might KO Feeny from here. Yeah, there's a Landorus. So there wasn't a Kartana in the back, so that's why you don't switch in Kartana. It's not there. Okay, so Yuree goes for the Groundium. I don't like this because Alberto's supposed to protect here, and protecting means you... I don't think... I think just protecting is just fine. There's no reason not to protect. Well, actually, no, I really like not protecting from Alberto, actually. Hold on, that was a very, very smart play, and I think I should give it what it's due. So Alberto Muddy Waters here. Switches into Landorus, Muddy Waters. Switching into Landorus prevents Earthquake from KOing. Muddy Water KOs both of Yuree's Pokemon. Then you switch in Gengar and you get Icy Wind Rock Slide, which should, because Zapdos is at -1, both will go faster, both will KO the Zapdos. If Landorus protects, doesn't matter. You have to hit both of your attacks, but this play says either you KO my Feeny and I win, or you don't KO my Feeny and I still win. So I think that was actually very strong, especially considering that Landorus just, dances here and the game is over. So yeah, this is that Feeny sacrifice was very strong from Alberto, and it wasn't even a sacrifice. Yuree had to force Alberto to sacrifice his Feeny, and Yuree very easily could have not done that. So the Tech Rage was strong. I think Thunderbolt might have done it, but I think Tech Rage was a very decent play. Yep, so there's Landorus Protect. Alberto says, I need to hit my moves. He goes for Sludge Bomb instead of Icy Wind. Crits the Sludge Bomb. Hits the Rock Slide. I think Icy Wind would have been fine. Because then your Landorus outspeeds the Zapdos even in Tailwind. So, I don't know. Not really sure what that means. It also, covers Landorus not protecting. But Landorus always... Landorus might not protect there, honestly. But I guess it was supposed to. Mungus protects. Here you just Icy Wind Swords. Here you just Icy Wind Tech Rage. Yeah, you Tech Rage here. Icy Wind doesn't KO. Rock Slide KOs. I don't like Amoonguss. I guess Amoonguss protecting is fine. But if Yuree caught the flinch there with a Spore, I think he just wins. No, he doesn't just win. But I think Yuree has a decent... Nah. I think you have to play a bit more aggressively. And protecting there I don't think is as aggressive as you need to be in order to win this game. I think you need to say, I will get lucky. Very lucky. And also, look, his Amoonguss can't protect on this turn when it needs to not take chip damage from Fake Out and stuff. Here you just Tech Rage, Flare Blitz the Amoonguss. You could Rock Slide Flare Blitz it. Oh, what? Alberto has faster Landorus than Yuree because it's at -1, so you just Rock Slide the other Landorus, and you Flare Blitz. Yep. Yeah, so Alberto decides that Kartana didn't really do much in Game 2, which is fair. He didn't give it the chance to do what it should have been doing, but... Okay, so I think Game 1, Alberto was really, really supposed to win. Alberto was supposed to... Wait, did Alberto win Game 1? Alberto did win Game 1, but he was supposed to win it harder. It got kind of dicey towards the end because he didn't Moonlight with his Cresselia. The advantage he got on turn 1 was immense, and he should have capitalized harder on it. Known his damage calcs with Cresselia a bit better. Game 2, Yuree, he didn't switch out the Feeny to reset the Misty Terrain. He kind of let Amoonguss get away from him. That's partly because he had Kartana, but partly because he didn't try and set up his Kartana and do things with it. And so I think if he was, trying to actively, aggressively make plays with his Kartana, then he would have been in a much better position. Game 3, Alberto has a good grasp of the fundamentals, knows what Yuree wants. On turn 2, Yuree can't get it because Alberto Shadow Balls, because Alberto will always Shadow Ball there, because Yuree's forced to double attack the Gengar, but double attacking the Gengar is heavily punished by Shadow Ball, so you get a trade at worst, and Alberto got more than a trade, and then he just converted from there. Every play after that was just kind of reasonable. The big play was the turn 2 Shadow Balling the Metagross. That's it for me, I think. I've done this for an hour and a half. If you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to tweet them at me. I'm going to try and put this on my YouTube channel. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I'll start linking it somewhere. This game was very much... This set seemed to be very much about... I'm trying to figure out what this set was about. Alberto's bulky Gengar was very, very good in Game 3. It forced Yuree to double, and then he pressured the forced double with damage, and then the double didn't KO because Yuree got a high damage roll in Game 2. And so he got disrewarded. He got punished for listening to the game, which always feels bad. You always want the game to, like, give you information and then reward you for paying attention. He's like, okay, Stomping Tantrum, Sludge Bomb, KOs. And it would have. But he got the high damage roll. And he assumed, like, oh, Alberto is EV to live it like this. But he forgot that if Alberto is EV to live the Stomping Tantrum, which he almost certainly is if he makes that play in Game 2, where he just, you know, lets his Gengar get Stomping Tantrumed, then then the damage roll goes probably from 99 to 86, and so a damage roll that's within Amungus's KO range is not necessarily something you can expect, given that it's very bulky as a Gengar. I heard Rajan versus Wolf was very good. No, I actually don't think this match was very good. I think Yuree and Alberto played very poorly in Game 1. I think Game 2 was very strong from Yuree. His Amoonguss just kind of got away with the game. But Game 3... Game 1 shouldn't have been a game, but Alberto just like kept throwing and letting it be a game. And Yuree threw turn 1 by not U-turning. Game 3... was a game decided on turn 2, again, like Game 1, by Yuree not respecting Alberto. Yuree said, I don't respect you and I don't respect your EV spread, and got punished for disrespecting both of them, both times. And the Shadow Ball there was correct from Alberto. There was no reason to Icy Wind, and Yuree got massively, massively punished for what he did. Icy Wind actually would have worked out because it turned out Alberto would have taken the double, but I just don't think, you know, Yuree didn't have the Heat Wave on the Zapdos, and the really nice play from Alberto was when he sacked his Feeny. I think that was very strong. In Game 3, he didn't sack it, he just forced Yuree to kill it, and if Yuree kills, he wins, and if Yuree doesn't kill, who cares? You win. Okay. That's it from me, guys. I'll see you all soon. Think 7 p.m. Might change it to later so I can eat dinner at times. But I'm going to do another match from NAIC. If you guys have good games, tweet them at me. I'd like to know particularly good games to watch. I felt like this was important. I'll see you all later.